You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you. This iconic phrase is commonly heard on television shows and film dramas. The phrase is a standard procedure used by police officers to advise a criminal suspect of their rights. These rights are known as the Miranda rights. The origins of the Miranda rights traces back to a 1966 U.S. Supreme Court case known as Miranda v. Arizona.
On March 2, 1963, an 18-year-old woman named Lois Ann Jamison from Phoenix, Arizona, reported to the police that she had been abducted and driven to a desert. After running the license plate, officers were eventually able to identify and track down Ernesto Miranda, the man responsible for the crime. He was arrested at his house on March 13, 1963, and taken to the police station.
At the police station, he was identified by the witness. After 2 hours of interrogation, Ernesto Miranda signed a written confession. It is disputed as to what happened during the interrogation that led Miranda to write and sign his confession. However, Miranda was not properly informed of his Fifth Amendment rights during the interrogation and was unaware that he did not have to confess to anything.
The written confession was used as evidence during the trial, even though the police officers who interrogated him had admitted that they did not advise Miranda of his rights to have an attorney present during the interrogation.
Miranda's appointed defense attorney, who was only paid $100, did not call any witnesses at the trial, leading to Miranda's conviction. Miranda was found guilty by the jury and sentenced to 20 to 30 years of imprisonment. While Miranda was in an Arizona state prison, the American Civil Liberties Union took up Miranda's appeal, claiming the confession was false and coerced. On appeal, the Supreme Court of Arizona held that Miranda's constitutional rights were not violated when obtaining the confession.
The Supreme Court reversed their judgment in the Miranda v. Arizona case on June 13, 1966. They ruled in a 5-4 majority, concluding that Ernesto Miranda's interrogation violated the Fifth Amendment. It reasoned that a defendant was required to be warned before questioning, that anything said can and will be used against them in court. They were also told that they had a right to an attorney, and that if they cannot afford one, one would be appointed to them prior to any questioning. It is only after a defendant is told of these warnings that they can make decisions on whether or not to make a statement or answer any questions. In addition, during a trial, evidence obtained as a result of the interrogation was not supposed to be used against the defendant unless they were informed of their rights and chose to ignore them. The Supreme Court decision established the principle that all criminal suspects must be advised of their rights before interrogation, creating the Miranda rights.
Supreme Court Justice Thomas Clark wrote a rebuttal opinion that argued the majority's opinion created an unnecessarily strict interpretation of the Fifth Amendment that impacts how effectively the police can execute their duties. He believed that the state should have the burden to prove the suspect was aware of his rights during the interrogation, but the statements resulting from interrogation should not be automatically excluded if the suspect was not informed of his rights. Furthermore, Justice John Harlan wrote that judicial precedent and legislative history surrounding the Fifth Amendment does not support the view that the Fifth Amendment prohibits all pressure on the suspect. Overall, the dissenting opinion argued that such a strict interpretation of the Fifth Amendment harmed the criminal process by destroying the credibility of confessions.
In conclusion, the Miranda v. Arizona court case has greatly expanded civil liberties in the modern day. The establishment of the Miranda rights prevents law enforcement from forcing interrogated individuals to incriminate themselves. These rights defend the Fifth Amendment's right against compelled self-incrimination and uphold the Sixth Amendment right to counsel.